The shift in Swedish naval strategy embodied in the development of the Luleå-class frigate represents one of the most significant evolutions in Sweden's maritime defense thinking since the end of the Cold War. For decades, Sweden's naval doctrine revolved around defending coastal waters, denying access to hostile ships, and utilizing stealthy, agile vessels for operations in the narrow and shallow environment of the Baltic. That approach led to the iconic Visby-class, a corvette that became a symbol of Swedish naval engineering, small, almost invisible to radar, and optimized for littoral combat. Yet, as the strategic reality of Europe has changed since 2022, the Baltic region has become more tense, and the need for a stronger maritime presence has grown. In that context, the Luleå-class is not merely a replacement or an expansion of capabilities, but a decisive transformation of Sweden's naval posture. The Visby-class ships were designed for a very particular role: stealthy patrols, rapid strikes in territorial waters, mine countermeasures, and coastal surveillance. They excel at that mission. However, they were not designed for extended sea control, fleet escort, area air defense, or multi-layer maritime surveillance. The Luleå-class frigates, by contrast, as projected and described in Swedish defense planning, will be larger, better armed, and significantly more capable in terms of sensors, air defense systems, and interoperability. They are expected to serve as command nodes at sea, platforms for fleet coordination, and contributors to a broader battle management network, rather than isolated tactical units. This evolution cannot be understood without situating it in the changing geopolitical landscape of the Baltic Sea. Russia maintains a military enclave in Kaliningrad with integrated air defense, anti-ship missile systems, and naval assets. The addition of Finland to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and Sweden's own entry into the alliance dramatically alters the balance. The Baltic is no longer a semi-neutral buffer, but a near fully NATO-controlled sea with only Russia as the non-aligned power. That shift imposes responsibilities. Sweden is no longer simply defending itself. It is contributing to a regional security system and a collective defense framework. The Luleå-class will operate not just as a Swedish national asset, but as part of a Baltic maritime web. These ships are expected to participate in integrated maritime surveillance, data sharing with NATO allies, combined patrols, joint maritime exercises, and cooperative task groups. Their sensors, radar arrays, and communication systems will be interoperable with Norwegian, Danish, German, and Polish vessels. In future scenarios, Luleå-class frigates could escort Allied ships through Baltic choke points, coordinate anti-submarine patrols with Swedish A-26 submarines, or provide medium-range air defense over NATO naval operations. This multi-domain integration represents the deeper conceptual leap behind the class. The Baltic is not merely a body of water. It is a contested battle space connecting undersea infrastructure, satellite monitoring, electromagnetic warfare, drone surveillance, and land-based missile threats. Sweden understands that control of the Baltic will be decided not simply by surface vessels, but by dynamic interaction across multiple domains. Therefore, the Luleå-class frigate will be a platform built for data processing, sensor fusion, electronic resilience, and command coordination. In terms of capabilities, The ship is expected to carry modern phased array radar, medium to long-range surface-to-air missiles, advanced anti-ship missiles, and potentially autonomous systems such as ship-launched drones, surface unmanned craft, and underwater drones. The ability to deploy autonomous systems is particularly relevant in the age of low-visibility reconnaissance and anti-access warfare. A frigate that can project smaller unmanned assets over the horizon can monitor sea lanes, inspect unidentified vessels, track submarines, or strengthen surveillance coverage far beyond its own immediate range. The significance of this shift also affects Swedish defense philosophy itself. Sweden's military tradition since World War II was defined by cautious pragmatism, territorial defense, and restrained capability projection. The doctrine was, Sweden does not threaten anyone. Sweden merely ensures its own sovereignty. The post-2022 geopolitical environment has forced a reinterpretation of that principle. The new doctrine might be summarized as, Sweden does not seek confrontation, but Sweden will not allow coercion or threats in the Baltic regional environment. This is not militarization for aggression, but militarization for deterrence and stability. This shift is not purely technical or strategic. It is also cultural. Swedish public opinion has long been shaped by neutrality, diplomacy, and domestic welfare priorities. Yet the invasion of Ukraine reshaped the Nordic perception of security. A society once skeptical of military expansion has begun to accept the necessity of modernizing defense assets. The Luleå-class, therefore, is not only a ship. It is a symbol of a broader national realization that stability must sometimes be actively maintained rather than passively expected. Within the North Atlantic Treaty Organization context, Sweden is now expected to contribute meaningful capabilities to joint security. The Norwegian and Danish navies already operate modern frigates capable of long-range air defense. Germany maintains modern naval assets in the Baltic. Poland is increasing its own naval modernization, including procurement of Swedish submarines. The Luleå-class will enable Sweden to assume its rightful position as a central maritime pillar of Northern European security. Looking toward the future, by approximately 2035, if the class is fully deployed alongside the upgraded Visby-class and the operational A-26 submarines, Sweden will command a balanced naval force capable of surface warfare, undersea operations, air defense, and reconnaissance. With enhanced electronic warfare capabilities and maritime logistics infrastructure, Sweden could coordinate with allies to ensure Baltic shipping cannot be interrupted, underwater infrastructure cannot be sabotaged, and Russian naval movements cannot go undetected. Ultimately, the Luleå-class represents a defense model that blends caution with capability. It is not a statement of aggression, but of readiness. It does not abandon Sweden's legacy of restraint, but modernizes it to meet the realities of an era where threats are hybrid, persistent, and multi-layered. Scandinavian defense thinking has always valued technology, efficiency, and intelligence over brute force. The Luleå-class embodies that tradition, positioning Sweden not as a dominant naval superpower, but as a critical strategic enabler in the security architecture of the Baltic Sea.